Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot. With that one legendary line, Mary Jane Watson didn't just walk into Peter Parker's life, she kicked the door clean off its hinges. It's one of the most iconic character introductions in comic book history the moment the mysterious girl next door was finally revealed. And she was a stunning, vibrant redhead. But behind that playful nickname and unforgettable entrance lies a much more complicated truth. You see, this moment wasn't just a beginning. It was the beginning of the end. The end of Peter Parker's first love, his innocence, and the life he thought he was destined to have with the one person who, up until then, was his perfect match, Gwen Stacy, making her debut in The Amazing Spider-Man number 31. Gwen wasn't just another crush. She was Peter Parker's equal. Aunt May was always trying to set Peter up with her friend Anna Watson's niece. Peter opens the door, and there she is. Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot. Where Gwen was thoughtful, academic, and calm, Mary Jane was a bolt of lightning. She was a free-spirited party girl, dropping 60s slang and just radiating infectious energy. And number 122 has a title that leaves no room for hope. The Night Gwen Stacy Died. After figuring out Spider-Man's identity, the Green Goblin kidnaps Gwen and drags her to the top of the George Washington Bridge. The whiplash from the sudden stop had broken her neck. Peter didn't just fail to save the woman he loved. His own heroic action is what killed her. It was a gut punch that changed what was possible in mainstream comics. The tragedy that destroyed Peter's first love is precisely what allowed his second love to become something more. Mary Jane had to grow up. She transformed from a fun-loving distraction into Peter's confidant and his anchor. Over time, she started revealing her own vulnerabilities, including a difficult family life that her carefree attitude was designed to hide. Or did Mary Jane's evolution make her the better partner for the man he was forced to become? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're enjoying these deep dives into comic history, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. She didn't throw Gwen from that bridge, but her arrival undeniably fractured the idyllic world Peter and Gwen were living in. She introduced a level of chaos and romantic conflict that, when mixed with the Green Goblin's evil, created a perfect storm for tragedy. In that way, her entrance signaled the end of Peter Parker's age of innocence. Heroes' girlfriends weren't supposed to die, but Gwen did. And with her, so did Peter Parker's innocence. She grew into the partner he needed, not the one he might have wanted in a simpler life. She became his strength, his reality check, and eventually, his wife. So while her iconic introduction may have heralded the end of Peter's first great love story, it also set the stage for his most enduring one. The jackpot Peter hit that day wasn't some easy prize. It was a destiny one, filled with more heartache than he ever could have imagined, but one he would, thanks to Mary Jane, never have to face completely alone. Gwen Stacy loved Peter Parker, but Mary Jane Watson learned to love Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Their relationship was forged in the shadow of Peter's greatest failure. It was more complex, more dangerous, and built on a foundation of shared trauma. She wasn't a replacement for Gwen. She was the person who could exist in the world that Gwen's death created. Theirs became a love story not of innocent perfection, but of resilience, support, and the hard-won piece of finding someone who sees all of you, the hero and the broken man, and still chooses to stay. In the battle that follows, the Goblin throws her from the tower. It cemented the tragedy at the very core of his character. But in a pivotal moment that would redefine their relationship, instead of leaving, MJ stays. She closes the apartment door and chooses to sit with Peter in his grief. It was the first real glimpse of the incredible depth she'd been hiding beneath her party girl persona. He could save strangers, but he couldn't protect his own. The guilt from that single moment has haunted him for decades, a failure so deep it became a part of who he is. Gwen wasn't just gone. The entire future she represented, that happy, normal life, was shattered forever. She wasn't Peter's intellectual equal like Gwen. She was his social opposite. She was exciting, unpredictable, and frankly, a little bit dangerous. All of a sudden, Peter's world wasn't just about studying with Gwen and being Spider-Man. There was a third, powerful force demanding his attention. And Peter, for his part, was convinced they'd have absolutely nothing in common. He dodged and weaved, avoiding this blind date for issue after issue, building up the mystery of who this girl could possibly be. While Peter was a science whiz hiding behind a camera, Gwen was a brilliant science major herself, meeting him on his own intellectual turf at Empire State University. Their romance wasn't built on the thrill of secret identities or life-and-death rescues. It was quiet, earnest, and felt incredibly real. Peter was with Gwen, but he couldn't ignore MJ's charisma. She started dating his best friend, Harry Osborn, but never quite stopped flirting with Peter. He pulls her up, feeling triumphant for just a moment, before the horrifying truth sinks in. She's gone. Her arrival threw a wrench into the comfortable, perfect world Peter was building with Gwen. It introduced chaos, temptation, and a new dynamic that would eventually set the stage for an unimaginable tragedy. Today, we re-exploring how Mary Jane's arrival didn't just change Peter's love life fit, sent his destiny careening down a darker, more tragic, but ultimately more defining path. They were two brilliant, kinda awkward young people who found a shared purpose and a vision for the future in each other. How could Gwen understand his absences when she didn't know about the impossible burden he carried? But honestly, that felt like a solvable problem. In a world without supervillains, you can easily picture Peter finally letting her in on his secret, and the two of them facing whatever came next together. Their love was pure, untouched by the violence that defined Spider-Man. Gwen Stacy was Peter Parker's shot at a normal, happy life. She was his first true love, and for a little while, it seemed like she would be his only one. Gwen represented a life Peter desperately craved, a normal life. A life where he could be a scientist, a partner, maybe even a husband. She was, as her creators intended, one half of a perfect couple. She loved Peter Parker, the guy, without the messy complication of the spider. Before the whirlwind that was Mary Jane, there was Gwen Stacy. This was Peter's college romance, the kind of love story that felt like it was heading for a happy ending. Of course, that's where the problem started. Peter's constant disappearing acts and flimsy excuses really strained their relationship. For years, Mary Jane Watson was basically a running gag. Then, in The Amazing Spider-Man number 42, the wait was over. The difference between her and Gwen couldn't have been more obvious. Mary Jane was literally designed to be Gwen's foil, creating a classic love triangle. It all came to a head on a bridge. The story published in The Amazing Spider-Man issues number 121. In a desperate, split-second move, Spider-Man shoots a web line that catches her. The comic panel is absolutely chilling. A tiny snap sound effect is printed right next to Gwen's head. If Uncle Ben's death taught Peter that with great power comes great responsibility, Gwen Stacy's death taught him a much harsher lesson. That his power would inevitably bring pain and loss to everyone he dared to love. In the wake of Gwen's death, a heartbroken and furious Peter lashes out. Even at Mary Jane, accusing her of being too flighty and selfish to possibly understand his pain. This was the beginning of Mary Jane's evolution. Crucially, it was eventually revealed that Mary Jane had known Peter's secret for a long time. So what do you think? Was Gwen Stacy Peter's one true love? A perfect future, tragically cut short? So, did Mary Jane Watson ruin Spider-Man's first love? It's not a simple yes or no. Gwen Stacy's death set Spider-Man on a darker, more guilt-ridden path. But it was Mary Jane who ultimately walked that path with him.